Hi, and welcome to the 2005 Book 2 New York State Grade 6 exam. This was the first question from Book 2, and over 26% of the Howard students did poorly on this, which meant that they either got half or even less than half of the points that they should have acquired on what was a relatively easy problem. So let's take a look and see what happened. Kamiko wants to plot the numbers below on a number line. They give you four numbers here: 3/5, -1 and 8/10, 4/10, and -1/10. And they ask you to place the numbers in the correct locations and order them concurrently on the number line. And for the most part, students did pretty well on the negative numbers. They knew that -1 and 8/10 was close to -2/10, and they knew that -1/10 was pretty close to 0. And I think what made it a little bit easier was the fact that both of these numbers were negative numbers, and negative numbers, on this case, fell to the left of the 0, and then they had values that were less than 0, so that made it pretty easy. But the particular problem came later on when we looked at comparing 4/10 to 3/5. It was kind of like a triple threat here. What happened was students weren't really sure what the value of 3/5 was, how it compared to 4/10, and number three, where it fell on the number line. And that was because neither of these numbers were in the same format. One's in fraction format while the other's in decimal format. And that brings me to my Mars-Learism: you must fair compare, which basically means that you just need to make sure that all of the numbers that are offered to you, anytime you compare them, are in the same format. You either need to compare all your fractions to fractions, decimals to decimals, or percents to percents. And that's where a lot of students got hung up here. The problem was that 3/5 is in fraction form and 4/10 is in decimal form. Well, since three of the four numbers are already in decimal form, we could have easily remedied this by changing 3/5 to its decimal form. And that's exactly what we're going to show here real quick. We're going to take a look at how 3/5 is a fraction waiting to happen, and a fraction is a division problem waiting to happen. And this is really read as 3 divided by 5, which gives you a decimal form of 6/10. Now that we know that it's worth 6/10, we can easily place it back on the number line. So we can take a look at that. Well, 4/10 and 6/10 should be pretty easy to place. First of all, they're going to be positive numbers, so I'll put them in the green. That's going to be any value that's forward or ahead of 0. And 6/10 is greater than 4/10, so it needs to be at least forward of the 4/10 number. So 6/10 is going to be closer to 1. 4/10 is going to be just behind it, and it falls right there. So that would have been the easy placement for all on there, but you must remember to fair compare. Get all of your fractions compared to fractions, all of your decimals to decimals, or all of your percents to percents.